Can you hear me, Mike?
I can, Becky. Can you hear me?
Very good.
Hi, Samantha.
Morning. How are you?
Doing well. How have you been?
Not too bad.
I think you were out of town for a bit. How's the travels go?
It was good. We went up to the mountains, so it was nice to be in a little cooler, get outside a little bit. Just nice and refreshing.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good morning, it's Mary Elizabeth from Dance Express.
Hi, Mary Elizabeth.
How are you? Are you Doug?
I'm Mike O'Connell.
Mike. Thanks. Guess I better.
Mary Elizabeth, I don't know if you were still talking, but you just muted.
I did. I thought, well, maybe I better fool with getting my picture
Okay.
up. So. Do you want us to be muted or unmuted?
Becky will cover that in a few moments, I think.
You bet.
Muted
Thanks.
would be great, Mary Elizabeth,
Okay.
just for background noise.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a few more minutes to get everybody on. Hope everybody's having a good morning, enjoying a little bit cooler weather out there. All right, we got Miss Kat joining us here. Good morning, Kat.
Good morning.
How are you?
Oh, doing good.
Good.
Love
You're looking very tan.
yeah, that's kind of what happens in the summer for me. So
That's good.
I don't have to work at it, which is very nice.
Yeah, my son is the same way.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to go on mute for just a second
Sure.
to see if there's someone calling in.
I just got a call from Mike.
Me?
Yeah, well, either that or Larimer SBDC.
Oh.
That's weird.
Yeah, that is weird. Wasn't me. And I don't think I butt dialed anyone. So.
Oh.
Guys, I think we'll just give it another minute or two. We have a few more attendees. We'll give them a moment if they're going to join us, and then we'll get rolling. Good morning, Keith.
morning.
Hi, Keith. Keith, I'm Michael Connell with the Larimer Small Business Development Center. Thanks for being on with us. And Kat Rico is my partner in crime here. She's with the Loveland Business Development Center. So,
Hey, my pleasure. Nice to meet you both.
Yep.
Nice to meet you.
and you, along with Samantha, are a couple of our featured speakers today. So,
Great. Nice, Samantha.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
All right. So thanks, everybody. I had a few people that were having a little bit of trouble with the links, but we've got them in now. Good morning, Randy. Good to see you. So we're excited to have everybody here today. I know this is a really important topic and a lot of good advice is going to be coming forward in this session. So I'll let each of you introduce yourselves, but we'll start with Mike. We have Mike O'Connell and Kat Rico joining us, and then we also have Samantha and Keith joining us. So Mike, do you want to start it off and just introduce yourself and kind of let everyone know what you do?
sure. I'm the director of the Larimer Small Business Development Center, cover Larimer County.
Immersed in the new overtime orders, in the new Equal Pay Act, in the new 401k Act. So we're trying to keep those in mind too. With that in mind, I have been noticing that, and I have always noticed this, and I've been noticing it more frequently than usual, that I've been redirecting people to some of the great resources that we have that people tend to miss out on. SBDC obviously is one of them. If they're not starting by talking to the SBDC, they're missing out on free legal, or not legal resources, but free business resources. Going to volunteer groups, going to pro bono hours at their local bar associations. The Better Business Bureau offers mediation for its members, which a lot of people overlook mediation as an option. This is really a time that it is exceptionally beneficial. It's faster, it's cheaper. We don't have to do discovery if you're in a case that can't really be filed right now because it wouldn't get started. Mediation either with an organization or with an individual, which there are a lot of individual mediators out there, is a really great option. So encouraging people who are members of the Better Business Bureau to reach out and ask them what they have as included resources for members for people who are not, talking to them about other resources out there. I've said a couple of times I do intellectual property. That we are lucky enough in Colorado to have a branch of the United States Patent and Trademark Office in Denver. There are only 5 of them and we get 1. And while a lot of their public events right now have moved to virtual, they're still an amazing resource. They love to talk to the public. They open all their hearings to the public. All of their patent hearings are still open to the public. And they're doing virtual consultations with people regarding trademarks. They can't file a trademark for you, but they are a source of information that is widely open to the public. So we've been trying to direct a lot more people towards those before they come see an attorney, if they can. And we've noticed that that cuts out a lot of those short-term problems. Obviously, if you have a contract that needs to be done, if you have a dispute resolution that's gotten out of hand, if you're looking at closing a company, those are things that we can't necessarily say that these are the first places to look. You do need an attorney. That's where someone like the pro bono attorneys would come in. That's where we can come in if they need us. But the long and the short of that is that there's a lot of good stuff out there that's just hidden if from the public. So we're trying to get that out there to people as they are trying to move forward with things or as they need to wrap up some things. So I think that's what I needed to say. So Becky, Mike, if we wanted to move to questions.
Great, and I will throw it open to some questions here shortly. I did want to follow up on one thing that Keith mentioned, and this is, I'm sure, an area that you both have seen. I'd love to get your comment on it, but you talked about the growing rate of evictions and related rent issues. And do you have any general guidance for a business person that finds himself with an eviction or a rent dilemma? Any best practices they should be doing? What do you suggest as far as how this gets addressed in a best practice sort of way?
I think the best practice I would follow is get a lawyer involved as quickly as possible. There seem to be, I hate to overgeneralize, but just for the sake of illustration, I'll risk overgeneralizing. There seem to be two types of landlords out there: those that understand the unique challenges that their tenants are facing and are willing to try and work through it. And then there are those that almost have an instinctively strong arm response, which is to, which is to say they up the ante, threaten eviction. We'll try and drive a harder bargain by sounding and taking aggressive steps. I think in either circumstance, having a lawyer engaged in those discussions can be very helpful. To making sure that tenants who might not know how to react are well counseled, and not that not that adding a lawyer isn't by itself sending a signal to it or creating a difference to the dynamic that maybe didn't exist before. But I think lawyers, particularly the pro bono lawyers that we have, can play a moderating influence. And I would just urge them, if you're working with anybody like that who's facing eviction related issues, to reach out to us quickly.
No, I'll agree with that, but I will also say that before they come to the lawyer, it will help a lot if they think about what it is that they want and what it is that they've already been doing, because those will help that conversation go a lot faster, for one, and a lot more smoothly. Is it that they can't pay rent right now? Is it that they can't pay all of rent right now? Is it that they haven't been paying rent for 3 months and now their landlord is looking at kicking them out? Are they looking at just restructuring the way their payment plan is? Knowing what exactly it is the issue is and what exactly it is that they're looking for as solutions will save a lot of time and will help get to a resolution faster, as well as we have been seeing, and Keith's right, some landlords don't want to talk at all. But at the same time, with several of them, especially when the PPP was going on, if they could see that the tenant had applied for the PPP, was waiting for word on the PPP, that their money was coming, they were a lot easier to work with than some who weren't. Again, I can't, I agree, I can't overly generalize there. That's not necessarily the case with all of them. But so for Nicole just posted the Rent Assistance Fund resources list as far as that goes. Typically, if a landlord can see that you're helping yourself, they are going to be more willing to help you because they're not throwing good money after bad. So those would be the two things that I would recommend for businesses to think about themselves and to collect those answers before they come talk to the attorney. You'll get a much better result with your attorney.
Thanks, Samantha. Kat, did you have anything you've been seeing from your area that you wanted to ask our two experts?
Yeah, well, one of the things that you guys have both highlighted, both Keith and Sam, is that we are going to be seeing an increasing number of business closures. What are some of the legal steps that our small business owners can take if they are considering shutting down their business permanently?
Keith, you want to take the start on that?
Yeah, I think my own response to that, I was looking at the rental assistance thing here for a second. Let me say two things. First, a lot of the resources that you're seeing come online, like this new rental assistance fund and other state sponsored funds, are really not exclusively focused some are, but many are more focused on residential rent and landlord-tenant issues rather than commercial landlord-tenant issues. That side of the equation, the landlord-tenant on the commercial side, is still not getting the type of resourcing it probably needs. So just on that one point. Second, in terms of business closure, I think those factors, I think my sense of those circumstances in the small business community is that they vary widely. There are different degrees of sophistication among small business owners. Some have already been proactive around trying to deal with contract liabilities, lease liabilities, human resources and employment types of issues. So there are, my answer to your question in a nutshell is there are a wide range of different factors that vary widely depending on the severity of the circumstance. And that, I don't think, given the complexity of a business closure process, there really isn't a short list of things to do other than get help and get help from competent professionals.
I would agree on that. There are so many different kinds of things that can be happening that even a very simple sort of task can diverge into several different possibilities otherwise. I would advise business owners, all business owners, before coming to an attorney on that, to look at what the reason they're closing is. Is it just this is too hard now and we're done? Is it that there's the pile of debt? Is it that none of your clients are purchasing what you're selling anymore? Because knowing the reason that you're wanting to close, and it may be all of those, but knowing the reason that you're looking at closing will help us go through, apologies, there's lawn mowing outside my window, will help us go through what the best options with closing are. So again, there is no right answer, but it is helpful to have some of that understanding of what's going on before you talk to an attorney, because that's something that we can't impose on you.
Thanks, Samantha. I will throw it open to questions from here. Nicole, I see that you put in the chat asking for Keith's contact info and the pro bono attorneys. I'm going to type in the chat the organization that Keith is here representing, which is coloradocovidrelief.org. And Keith, do you feel, and as well our Larimer SBDC, if you'd like to talk to Samantha. We don't have if you're looking for a pro bono attorney, I would suggest Colorado COVID Relief. Keith, is that a fair
That's
course of
right.
action here? Okay.
Yeah, there's an intake page on that
Yep.
on that website that both volunteer lawyers can sign up on, as well as clients can sign up on for help.
Okay. Beyond that, let me throw it out to our attendees. Some specific questions. Mary Elizabeth, are you raising your hand
I
or
was
clapping?
trying to raise my hand, yeah, but
Okay.
I'll unmute and that'll help me.
You have the floor.
Oh, thank you. So I'm with a nonprofit, a dance company, and we have had to go into virtual means to present. So typically we're able to perform and use our music in the theaters and that. So now we're filming what we need to perform. And I'm wondering if we're getting into an area of music rights, having to get some kind of representation to use the songs. It would still be productions that are for our groups of people, but I guess it's a little more public when you're using film.
Mary Elizabeth, I will tell you should have been doing that already, regardless of
But what is that? Is what
getting permissions for music.
How is that done is my question.
So that would be a good offline question.
So I know I did
consultation.
put the question in the chat when I applied to be on this meeting.
Sure.
Do I need to use a different format, a different way of connecting with the lawyers?
Well, no, so it's a good question. I just don't want to kind of go into all of the legal advice on here. But I will also tell you that there's another, I was saying there are all these great hidden resources out there. You're a nonprofit in the arts. The Colorado Business Committee for the Arts provides pro bono services for companies that are arts related, that have shown a need for pro bono services on their limited arts needs. So one of those that they do is music clearing and licensing. So if you go to the Colorado Business Committee for the Arts and put in, similar to what Keith was saying, their process is, you do an application form for them, and at their next meeting with the Colorado Attorneys for the Arts, they see if you are an appropriate for pro bono representation. If you're not, they ask you to go to somebody who is a paid attorney because they have limited resources as far as that goes. But if you're appropriate for that, they send your name out to their pro bono attorneys who specialize in arts issues in Colorado and can help you along with that issue.
Great. So will you put that in the?
I will put that in the chat right now.
Wait, I think it's there already. SBC.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Becky.
Okay. Yeah, great. Thank you. I think that's all for now. Thank you. And I will pursue these other resources. Thanks.
Keith, did you want to chime in on that at all, or pass?
I'll pass. I got to answer my door real fast.
All right. Other questions from our attendees? Thank you, Mary Elizabeth. Nicole, did you raise your hand, I think, or are you raising your hand?
Yes.
Go ahead, Nicole.
And with Keith gone, I don't know if I can answer the or ask this question and get an answer, but I'm looking into trying to figure out LLC versus partnership with a new startup. And so clearly I'm going to need to be talking with a lawyer with my partner. Is that something that this Colorado COVIDrelief.org would be able to assist with?
Nicole, I'm going to chime in on that too, but why don't you repeat the question just so we can make sure that Keith heard it, because it was kind of directed to his organization.
Okay,
Sorry.
so I am looking at starting up a business with my partner, and we're trying to determine how to form our company, either as an LLC or as a partnership. So we're going through our business plan at this point to try to determine what will be the best structure. And clearly at some point we will need to talk with a lawyer. And I don't know if that's something that the Colorado COVID Relief can assist with.
It kind of depends. I think the real focus for our organization is providing pro bono legal assistance for small businesses with needs due to the COVID pandemic. So if it's general business formation types of questions that don't really relate to the pandemic and the sorts of challenges that small business owners are facing, we probably wouldn't be the right organization. We have done some work involving work similar to what Mary Elizabeth, I think, was describing a short time ago. We've had small business owners who provide consultation services, business coaching services, therapeutic services, most of which have been delivered in person or on premises. And we've provided some assistance to those businesses in trying to retool their operations to go virtual. So we've provided them with pro bono assistance on contracting with virtual service providers to get their content online, things of that sort we have done, but just general business formation and operation issues for new businesses coming online is not what we've really made our focus.
Thanks, Keith. Kat, do you want to talk a bit about what the LBDC and SBDC could help with that area?
So we've got a variety of classes that can help with that, with entity selection. We've also got a lot of just generalized information that we can get you through a consulting appointment, where we can, give you some of the background on the different entities and everything like that and how to get that established. My personal favorite out of most of our classes is actually our Make It Official class, because we will have an attorney and a CPA talk about entity formation, and the tax and the legal side of starting your business, which is really important to have both of those people in the same room at the same time as you're making those decisions for your business. Because obviously there's going to be legal ramifications to your structure, and then there's also going to be that tax side of things. So that's the class that I would recommend the most out of our classes, or meeting one-on-one with our consultants. But I think you'd probably get the most value out of that particular class.
Okay. Pat, do you know if you have any of those classes coming up?
Becky, when is the next one coming out of Fort Collins? Because I don't have anything on the schedule for Loveland right now.
Yeah, so I don't know if you all know, but we're actually moving on to Front Range Community College campus. So we've kind of backed off on our workshops for the month of August. So our next Make It Official isn't until September 22nd. We don't have one scheduled in August just because we're going through that huge move.
Okay.
And to add to that, Nicole, but you could, contact us at, in the chat is the SBDC or Loveland Business Development Center site. We could set you up with an appointment with Samantha. If you've got specific questions, we could help with that. And we could also talk to you. I like our class called Essential Steps for Starting a Business. I mean, in my view, there's like 5 or 6 things that as a business person with a new venture that you need to be thinking about. And the organizational entity is just one of those. But how are you going to get customers? How are you going to keep them? What kind of accounting system are you going to use? And possibly you have a grip on that already. But I see a lot of folks where they get really far down the pike with a couple of areas, and there's some other areas that are really critical that doesn't get paid enough attention to. And we try to make sure you leave that 2-hour class with a pretty good handle on what you need to do, including the stuff that you might not know. So that's the importance of that for us and why we do that particular class, normally twice a month. So.
Okay. Do you know if there's a scheduled Essential Steps coming up?
You can go on our site and the info will be on there, whether it's either in Loveland or whether it's at the Larimer SBDC. You should be able, and Becky, perhaps I think the next one's in early September. Did I get that right?
So it looks like Kat might be holding one on August 12th.
Okay.
And yep, then for us, it'll be September 8th.
And we are going to try and hold that one in person, but obviously we have to be flexible as well due to everything that's going on. So I'm not sure if that will be virtual or if it will be in person. Right now it is scheduled to be in person, but that could obviously change at, the drop of a press release, as we'll just put it that way.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Samantha is with the SBDC, is that correct?
Well, she is she assists us as an independent contractor, bringing legal expertise to what we do. All of our consultants are independent contractors, but they are accredited. They understand the confidentiality. They understand the unbiased advice requirements that we have.
And Nicole, if you email into the Larimer SBDC, they can get you an appointment on my calendar for the dates that I have reserved specifically for Larimer SBDC clients. So that is also an available avenue. I like the classes. I think that they're fantastic and they do give you a lot of those things that you don't know. But if you're feeling in that time crunch, we can absolutely do that before you get to one of the classes.
Okay. Yes, I keep getting told this Make It Official class is what I need to go to, but we can't wait till September.
Sure.
We're ready to go.
You can get a personal consultation appointment. Just reach out to the Larimer SBDC and they'll put you on my calendar and we'll send a Zoom appointment, and that way both you and your partner can come.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Elizabeth, you had a question? You're muted.
Yep.
Thanks.
So I'm looking at, of course, we don't know how long this is going to go on. So how long are, I know SBDC resources will be there, but will these COVID relief resources be here for us for an indeterminate amount of time?
I'm going to assume that's kind of a question for Keith and the Colorado COVID relief.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so far the answer is yes. I think we've sort of viewed this as a indefinite commitment, and no one really knows when the need will stop. So I think we're here for the foreseeable future.
Right, because there's a lot of risks that will have probably not even emerged yet that we don't know.
Correct.
So if we do public socially distanced events, then are we in December or March? Are we still in trouble? You know, where's that all going to go? So I don't know what questions are going to come up yet, but I'm glad to hear that you will be here for the long run.
Other questions, folks? We've got about 10 minutes left. I want to make sure we address anything anybody might have in their mind. Hey, can I pose one question while we're waiting, see if anybody else has one? Keith and Samantha, I think you both at least touched on this, but let's say you're a business, small business, you've got an outstanding invoice, you're trying to collect it from someone, and accounts receivable is probably getting tougher in this environment. Any suggestions on money collection practices from your standpoint? Overdue invoice collection, et cetera?
Yeah, actually, and this is not really a legal answer so much. I'll segue into the legal answer, and then Keith can pick up on that. But my first answer is that this is going to depend on the business, and it's going to depend on the industry. And one of the things it will depend on is how good your relationship is with your clients. Something that we've been seeing is that the repeat customer industries, the ones that use the same clients or customers over and over and over again, that have a smaller book of business, that just reaching out, talking to people and getting small but regular payment plans on the books has been very effective. Getting that personal touch and saying, we understand what you're going through, but if we are going to continue providing the service for you, here is what we need. And that people are being very good about that with those personalized companies. With the one-off customers, it's gonna be harder. They don't have that same relationship with you. They don't feel that need. We've been seeing a lot of pushback on those kinds of things. So we're kind of suggesting a little bit of a firmer approach with that, with maybe reaching out to people and saying, like, here's what we're doing for our late payments with this. We're keeping an eye on things, but here is how we're adjusting things moving forward. So you're giving a little, but you're not making it a personalized approach. We've seen those effective with a number of businesses, but obviously not all of them. If those things aren't effective, that's when you have to, that's the non-legal side. If they're not effective, you kind of have to turn back to the legal side. You have to look at your contracts. That's when we're starting to encourage people to go to mediation if necessary. And that's where Keith's organization, or the Colorado COVID Relief Fund, is really going to help out, is if you've tried those non-legal things and now you're back with a legal resource. Keith, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I won't get into the substance of it too much, because it's really not an area of law that I'm terribly familiar with. But what I would hazard to say is, first, there are collections laws in Colorado govern how people who are owed a debt can collect the debt. Those laws are statutory, and in many instances, small business contracts, at least the ones that I've seen over the course of my legal career, are oftentimes not prepared with those statutory obligations and procedures in mind. So just following what the contract says may not be the best way to go. Fortunately, I think those sorts of issues, collections issues, are discrete enough that we can provide. I'm confident we could identify a group of pro bono lawyers through our network to try and provide some real practical, substantive assistance to somebody, Mike, who's asking that kind of question. So if those questions do arise, feel free to send them to us for help.
Thanks, you two. Any final questions from any of our attendees, or Kat, any comments from your standpoint? And if not, we will wrap it up.
I think one of the only areas that I want to understand from you, Keith, if you're able to help, that we haven't really touched on, is any employee disputes that end up going into legal territory. Is that something where Colorado COVID Relief might be able to help, maybe with, some mediation or something like that? Let's say an employee doesn't want to return to work or can't, and it blows up into something ugly that goes into legal territory.
Yeah, we don't offer mediation or arbitration as sort of we're not a dispute resolution provider. We'll provide you a lawyer to help you with that dispute resolution process or to avoid the dispute resolution process. But more to the point of the substance of your question, yes, there are a number of clients who we've already helped and we're in the process of helping through a host of employment related issues. What to do if an employee gets sick on premises. What to do if the employees that you furloughed won't come back and you receive PPP assistance. A lot of issues just like that. What to do if you need to lay off employees, and how to do that consistent with desire to perhaps have them back at some point, but also not walk yourself into an employment lawsuit for wrongful termination. It's important to bear in mind that our focus is really on the small business and the small business owner. We are unfortunately not, even though there are a lot of affected employees out there, and friends and family of ours who have lost their jobs. We are trying to come at this from the small business owner's perspective, not necessarily the employee's perspective.
Understandable. And that's still, that's a hugely valuable resource, because that's something I think, especially as we move forward and we see more potential rollbacks or anything like that, that it's going to be a greater concern. So I know it's definitely something we've gotten a lot of questions about.
So
All right. Well,
is there a resource for the individuals if they need that?
I would look first at the local bar association regular pro bono services. Most of the local bars are county bar associations that serve as a resource for their local communities to refer them to regular attorneys. Each of them has their own way of doing pro bono resources and what pro bono resources are provided. However, Larimer County Bar Association, you can go onto their page, you can go onto their events page, see when the next pro bono night is. If employment assistance is not listed as one of them, that's usually dependent on which attorneys they have to volunteer at any given point in time. You can always reach out to the Bar Association directly on their Find a Lawyer program. That's usually going to be the best resource for the employee side.
Great, thank you.
and I would also say if it's hasn't got to the point where it's a legal issue, I would touch base with the Larimer County Workforce Center to get a handle on your particular case, what the policy is, so that you've got that baseline, and they're the ones that are pretty well versed in unemployment insurance, the pandemic unemployment assistance. So they're always a good resource by people that deal with this every day. All right, we're close to the end of our time. Becky, I will turn it back over to you if there's any final comments from your standpoint. And I do want to say thanks very much to Keith and Samantha for joining us and taking your time from your very busy schedules to be on this call. So we thank you for the expertise and the time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank
Pleasure.
you so much. So I'll just wrap it up by saying, if you want to meet with Samantha, you can give us a call at 970-498-9295. We can schedule an appointment with you and her. Are you doing virtual right now? Are you doing Zoom or phone?
I'm doing a Zoom preference, phone,
Okay.
if that's somebody else's preference, Wednesday afternoons.
Okay. If you want to meet with any of our consultants, give us a call or check out our website. I also listed the Loveland Business Development Center's information early in this chat, so you can take a look at that. You can give Kat a call at 667-4106. We appreciate y'all being here. If you have any questions, please feel free to give either one of us a call.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day. Stay cool out there.